Like and subscribe right now, or you're gonna have terrible luck for the next week.
From cannonballs to a dead body, here are 10 of the craziest things found by airport security. Number 10. A cannonball. Back in 2012 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, a Transportation Security Administration employee found something particularly strange in a checked bag. Sitting in a diver's suitcase, encased in coral, was a late 18th century cannonball. You might not think a cannonball that's been underwater for several centuries would be dangerous, but the TSA disagrees. It was determined that the coral-covered cannonball was explosively viable, which triggered an evacuation of the checked baggage area and a visit from a TSA explosive specialist and a Broward County bomb tech. Cannonballs found on the ocean floor can retain their explosives and have been known to detonate on their own. The bomb tech took possession of the item for further identification, diagnostics, and safe disposal. A word to all tourists out there who want to bring something unique home as a souvenir. Please, for your own safety and well-being, avoid bringing home something that can potentially explode while you're on a plane. It's just common sense. Number 9. Fish of all kinds. Sharon Naismith thought she could get away with it, but she didn't count on the TSA smelling something fishy. Our would-be smuggler just got off a plane from Singapore when she was caught. Officials became suspicious of her when they distinctly heard what they described as flipping noises coming from her skirt. She was searched, and sure enough, they were surprised and baffled by what they discovered. Naismith was wearing a custom-made apron under her skirt, and attached to it were 15 plastic water-filled bags holding a total of 51 live tropical fish. Most of the fish confiscated were different species of catfish, but one bag contained a sought-after species of arowana, an extremely endangered species and has a market value of up to $30,000. How she was able to smuggle the fish out of Singapore is still unknown. Charges were filed against her, and she eventually pled guilty to the crime of importing regulated wildlife. Number 8. A seal's severed head. TSA officers at the Logan International Airport confiscated a severed seal's head from the luggage of a biology professor. When asked where he got the head from, the professor said that he found the seal carcass while walking on Revere Beach. He thought the head would be useful for his lessons, so he cut it off, as you would, and decided to take it back with him to Denver. Like most people on this list that don't intentionally try to smuggle items into an airplane, the professor was unaware that what he was doing was illegal. The fact that federal wildlife laws prohibit the removal of body parts from a dead mammal is unknown to him is quite plausible though. I mean, do you know that such a law exists before now? Number 7. A chihuahua. A sneaky chihuahua made it all the way to LaGuardia Airport in its owner's luggage, only to have the trip spoiled by the TSA. Airport security found the dog inside a checked bag at LaGuardia International Airport and safely returned it to its owner. The owner, who was unnamed, said she was unaware that the dog was in her suitcase and was quite surprised when she was told by the authorities of what they found in her bag. Apparently, her dog knew that she was going on a trip and didn't want to get left behind. So she snuck into the suitcase without the owner noticing and was locked inside it. Who knows what would have happened to the poor dog if she wasn't discovered by the TSA. Number 6. Chocolate-flavored heroin. Drug smugglers have been making creative new ways to smuggle illegal drugs in and out of a country. It's a good thing that the customs agents are also continuously honing their skills in drug detection. If not, this ingenious way of transporting drugs might have worked. After a random baggage search at JFK International Airport, officials found an unusual number of chocolate bars inside a man's bag, immediately arousing suspicion. It turned out that Edney Barco, the owner of the bag, didn't have a sweet tooth. He was a drug smuggler, and the chocolate wrappers didn't contain chocolate, they were filled with heroin. All in all, 11 pounds of heroin were confiscated by authorities, which had an estimated street value of $400,000. The drugs were of course confiscated and turned over to the federal government. Number 5. A bug collection. Quite understandably, airport security is very strict about transporting animals across countries. The threat of an invasive species wiping out indigenous species of animals is quite real and has tragically happened in the past. Apparently, nobody told this couple about this. Security officers at an Amsterdam airport found over 200 live tarantulas in the luggage of a German couple. The pair are thought to have been waiting for a connecting flight on their way back from Peru. When customs officials at Schiphol Airport airport noticed the spiders during a routine baggage scan. When they opened the suspicious-looking case, 200 live tarantulas, along with grasshoppers, millipedes, and beetles, which the couple had put into little boxes, began to escape. Fortunately, none of the creepy crawlies were able to escape. The couple were then subsequently charged for transporting live animals without a permit. It's not known what the couple had planned to do with their exotic acquisitions, and the spokeswoman for the finance ministry added that Amsterdam customs officials had never encountered a collection of that size and kind before. Number 4. A snake. Officials at the TSA checkpoint at the Newark Liberty International Airport were having a pretty much normal and boring day when they were suddenly approached by a child reporting something out of the ordinary on the floor of the airport. When they went to look, they got quite the shock when they saw a black, slithering animal that was around 15 inches long. The black snake had a bright yellow ring around its neck, and it was later identified to be a ringneck snake. The officers quickly closed off the checkpoint and trapped the animal under a bin. While TSA officials are quite used to keys, wallets, or even gloves being accidentally left at the checkpoint, this was the first time someone has left their pet snake behind. The weirdest thing about this story, however, is not the fact that someone tried to board a passenger plane with a snake. It's the fact that it's not illegal to bring a snake on a flight as long as the airline agrees to it. Number 3. A live smoke grenade. No one is allowed to bring any sort of firearm or explosive into flights, even law enforcement and airport security. That's exactly the reason why the taser was invented. You didn't know that, didn't you? See? You learn something new every day. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that none of you will knowingly bring a weapon with you on a flight, but some have accidentally done so, and that's exactly what happened in this story. TSA officers at the Dulles Airport detected a live military smoke grenade in a traveler's checked baggage back in 2020. As the bag was screened, it triggered an alarm, so it was subjected to a much thorough search. A TSA officer inspected the contents of the bag and found a military smoke canister labeled smoke/yellow, with a triggering device at the top similar to those on hand grenades. It was later determined to be a live smoke grenade. According to the passenger who checked the bag in, he had purchased the canister at a military surplus store several years ago, and he believed it was inert.
Now it's time for today's best pick.
Okay, so we see this woman getting checked by airport security, and the x-ray revealed that she had a skull in her stomach. Now I know it's impossible for someone to swallow an entire human head, but there is actually a person who did try to fly while lugging along a real human skull. Find out more about it next. Number 2. A human skull. A German professor was arrested at Rome's Fiumicino airport because he had something very unusual in his bag, an almost complete human skull. He was on his way home to Dusseldorf when the gruesome cargo was discovered in his bag. The professor said that he purchased the remains at a market stall for 40 pounds. He even described it as well polished despite it lacking a lower jaw. He further told the authorities that he bought the skull for scientific purposes. He was at first quite confused on why he was being accosted. It seemed that he was quite unaware that what he was doing was illegal, and he was quite shocked as well when he was informed by the police that he was going to be charged for illegal possession of human remains. After the professor's arrest, the skull was turned over to Italy's scientific police squad in order to determine its origin.
Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works.
Number 1. A dead body. Don't get me wrong, dead bodies are allowed in commercial flights, but sending a deceased body across the country or even overseas requires a lot of preparation and permits. The process is simple, but some people still think that getting the proper permits is too much of a hassle. So some people who find themselves in the situation wherein they really need to fly a body, they try to do it in quite creative ways. In 2010, 91-year-old Kurt Will Harant was traveling from Berlin to Manchester with his wife and daughter. Mr. Mr. Harant was confined to a wheelchair and suffering from Alzheimer's. He was also wearing dark sunglasses due to a recent eye infection. As the women were trying to check in at the terminal, airport workers noticed that the elderly man was slumped over in his wheelchair. The women claimed he was fine and that he always sleeps like that. Authorities didn't buy it, especially when they touched him and felt his ice-cold skin. Here's a lesson to you kids. If it worked that weekend at Bernie's, it doesn't necessarily mean it will work in real life. What is the craziest thing you tried to smuggle through airport security? Let us know down in the comments below, and don't worry, we won't rat you out. Also, make sure to hit subscribe as well as the notification bell. That way, you'll get notified every time we upload new and amazing content just like this. Again, thanks for watching and see you on the next video.